adjust and take advantage of the fact that people think you have nothing.
Yeah, I think that's something I would mention about a lot of players at this table is they do have the ability to shift those gears.
Right.
These guys, so many of them at the table can go full force or kind of reel it in, and that really makes for a very difficult lineup, to be completely honest. I am thoroughly surprised that he called with sevens there. That was
one that it
interesting.
just seems like. I mean, like, boy, that's how little he thinks of neighbors possibly having a hand there.
And I was actually really impressed with the sizing that Nick decided on for this river, really trying to target a hand like one pair with no heart.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, you kind of expect to get a fold there 99 times, if not 100 times.
It's like, you may understand you may get called by a heart, you might get, but it's sort of like, sevens?
Yeah, you're like,
way to go, coins.
You're never expecting you're never expecting a heart to ever fold. You may get called sometimes by two pairs in sets.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
Well, it's just like everything else. You've got to adjust your strategy to every single opponent, and sometimes that's easier said than done. As boy, we've got a 3-bet up to 550.
These guys are just on top of their game right now. Really are.
Embracing that Mamba mentality here.
And we're going to get a call here from Casey as well.
Our guy Bones. He'll talk about one of his famous quotes on these episodes. He said it specifically to you, Rami. Not here for the subs. We're here for the truth. Epstein didn't kill himself, and Harden can't play D. I think if we may put that on a wall.
I don't know
somewhere.
So much that it's an inability to play defense as it's a conscious decision.
Right. It's the lines are blurred on that. So
speaking of Harden and what's going on with Kobe during the lockout season, I'm not sure if you've gotten a chance to look at this. There was a you're familiar with the Drew League?
The Drew League. Oh, okay. yeah, absolutely.
So back during the lockout, Kobe was looking for. Let's pause. Let's take this hand here.
Well, we've got a pair and a flush draw here for Bones, Kevin, and aka K-Dog.
This pot has ballooned to $2,000 already. $2,000. So we had a check call from Bones on the flop, and he picks up a flush draw, and it looks like Kevin's just going to continue to put more pressure here.
Wow, that's some really good poker here on display. And Bones.
So the question here in this spot is, does Bones have enough to shove and ever get Kevin to fold a hand? And I can't, it shows that he has 2.2, but I know that sometimes players are going to be adding on in these spots, and I'm not really sure if he has more. If he has something in the vicinity of 3.5 to 4, and Kevin covers, because I think Kevin does have a substantial amount behind here as well. You might be able to turn a hand like this into a bluff, but it's not really a great spot to be check calling.
Because it's just like, okay, you call 1,000, got 1,002 back. Like, are you going to get paid if you do get a diamond here on the end? And
yeah, this hand is just so good because you just can never be drawing dead. Right. So when you have something like this, it's one of these where you can put this into your bluffing range, and really be able to put a lot of pressure on people. And so I think right now he's trying to figure out how much money is behind, and seeing if this is an option. And it's just, it really is a testament of his skill level, in my opinion.
Absolutely is. Gonna get tested here. 1,000 bet here on the turn. I like to see there on the left. Check call the 375. You can see up there on the right, he's got 10 active outs of cards that still remain within the deck that help him improve his hand.
Yeah, not to downplay what Kevin's doing here either. This is
a really impressive
tremendous amount of
a jack high board, and you get somebody that calls your 3-bet to 550. It's like, okay, I mean, he could have 9s or 10s or, like King Jack like he had the previous time.
Kevin does not think he has the best hand right now at all.
Oh, and looks like a raise was put in, or at least...
It looks like a call.
Okay.
So he calls 1,000.
Oh, yeah, it was a pink chip and probably 5 below. So Jack here on the river. You think this might go check, or is this...
This is also a card where Bones can turn this hand into a bluff. So when the Jack pairs off here, This is a card that Bones is probably more likely to have in this spot, and he does rip it.
Oh,
So
here
this is what I'm
comes
telling you,
Bones!
this is absolutely phenomenal.
Whew! And the shove here for 1,200. It's a big pot, though. And
Yeah, it's really going to come down to how much money he has left. But regardless of what happens, I think this is definitely the hand of the night. This is absolutely tremendous from both players.
Lakers versus Lakers. Mamba mentality worldwide. Playing for Kobe.
See, and we kind of go back to what happened on the turn here. I think whenever Kevin bets this turn, he does not think he has the best hand. You know, so he's getting to this point on the river. And now that the jack paired and he shoves, right? So Bones is essentially saying that he has a boat or jack X in this spot. And so Kevin's trying to think through if there's any way that he can ever be good here. And
Yeah. Because, I mean, like, just take it from the pre-flop action, the fact that he raised up front. Kevin 3-bets him to a pretty hefty 550. So it's like, you know, like the kind of hands that he can call them with. In that instance, like, this is the most optimistic one that he can beat in some of these. You know, like, there's, you know, your 8-9s, 10-9s. You know, there's potential for stuff like that, but it feels like Kevin's reaching for the call button here.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to the amount of this bet, and $1,200 into this pot. It's just one you would think that how could anybody ever bluff in this spot?
Yeah,
There's just
this
not
can't
enough money.
be, like,
it's not enough money to bluff
crazy.
with, right? But kudos to Bones. Tremendous talent for sure.
He's showing off here in the booth, but he's reaching. He's thinking about it.
Yeah.
I feel like when Kevin's got chips like this, more often than not, he's leaning towards call.
Might click the call button.
I've seen either way. Bones stoic as ever. And he's moved.
The more Kevin's probably thinking about this is he's trying to think through some hands that he could possibly have, and the most obvious bluff that you can think of is going to be something like 8-9, right?
Yeah.
But the problem with that is Kevin has 2 8s in his hand, and so
he finds.
Oh, he does find the call though.
Oh, Bones getting stacked here by Jason Garrett by the 8 and 8, the hand that he has joked about on the stream as the Jason Garrett, the Michael Irvin, the Ochos. Some very tremendous play by both. Kevin coming out with a better hand, but holy smokes, that is definitely the top vote for hand of the night thus far.
That was tremendous.
Yeah, I still had the DVD series. Like, I sit in my parents' house. I should have brought it back home with me. That the WPT, I think like season 2 or season 3 or something, where they had like Lindgren and Nick Ronyu doing commentary over the commentary. Like, they would do the broadcast and they would be commenting on, okay, we got Bones coming out here with a 9 Triz. Let's go, Bones. Got a 2-red up to 250.
This
Points
is holistically because of him being in the booth, right?
Yeah, this is, I was going to say, like, I feel like being in the booth has lost him money because he's trying to rep TCH Nation with a 9 Triz. That's the only reason why he would do this. And it's going to come out Jack 7-4. Top pair here for Brendan. Bones here with the 9 Triz, the 9-3.
So I would expect him to just kind of barrel off here pretty hard. Oh, wow. So with a stack of 2,500, I would expect him to bet like 300 to 400 in this on the flop. So he can bet turn and then potentially be betting river. He hates to be called here, and he's going to probably get called in both spots.
No, he could still get a good turn card, and if Brendan overcalls, maybe that might be the one thing that gets
him to slow down.
So, yeah, and then his only path here is, I think, a bad card comes that makes Brendan's hand a little worse. Oh, he got what?
Oh, he got the best hand to fold.
Yeah, he got the best hand to fold, so...
The problem is that we haven't seen coins want to fold
much of anything once he's gotten heads up.
This 7 of clubs, much like the pairing of the board earlier, is typically going to be better for the person who's been calling rather than the person who's going to be betting. And it also brings the club. A little surprised to see Bones not just slow down here. But I think he's just made up his mind that he's going to...
is he going to get it, though? The Jack might help, the 7 might help.
I think, regardless of unless the river is a jack, I think Bones is just going to put the rest of the money in. I suspect that a jack and a 7.
Watch Coins. He's got his thumb though on the cards. I think he's more apt to folding.
He wants to fold. Yeah, he wants to fold.
Oh,
he has no club here. If he has a club, he might consider calling. But I don't think he wants to fold either.
$700 bluff here on the turn with absolute nothing but the 9-3.
And I think once Bones bets the 700 here, he's already made up his mind that he's going to be shoving the river.
Unless he really gets some indication that he just doesn't feel like, even if he does that, Coins will fold. Like if he gets an inkling that he feels like, okay, it just takes one more barrel to get him out here. But I could see him shutting it down too if he feels like, God, I can't get this guy out of the hand.
With how much time he's taken right now, I think Bones is kind of piecing this together a little bit and saying, okay, he's got one pair. He possibly has a middling club.
Right.
But as long as the river is not a jack or a 7, which makes it really easy calls for boats, I think Bones is just going to put the money in.
8 on the river. It's checked to him. He's got 1,500 behind. Does Bones have one more bullet in the chamber to fire on the river?
And once again,
I
mean, it's obviously this isn't like the greatest hand to be doing these kinds of things with. This is probably more of a statement to the 9 Triz kind of thing.
This is, you know,
but
he's doing
the
it
line,
for the fans.
The line and the story, they're congruent, right? The 3-bet pre-flop, the bet on the flop, the bet on the turn, the shove on the river. This is all very congruent with constructing what would be a very well-perceived hand. But again, much like the situation he was in with Kevin, it's a well-played hand. We have to wait and see if it's going to net the results.
Oh, well, this is this is really fascinating. Is he going to be able to do it? Such a sick play here. As can Uncle Coins fold as Casey there with the Lakers hat pulled down, bringing that Mamba mentality here to the river. No give up here.
Never give up. Never surrender.
That is to the whistle. And yeah, so 1,500 to call into a pot of 4,000, or it's probably, but the pot is reflective of that bet. So 700,000. Yeah, that's.
I like the way that it's constructed.
The 2,800 or so is what's in the middle right now. It's still a pretty good sizing of enough river that it looks like a value bet, but I don't know. Coins is. I feel like the longer he takes, the more it's just gonna call. Oh. I know. It's like I'm rooting for Bones to get this one through.
I'm kind of impartial either way. I think that the way the hand's been played out, I really like the construction. I like the bet sizing. I think it's a good decision to shove the river.
Coin's still thinking.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot. It's
this
not
is not
easy.
an easy spot. Yeah.
There's just so many hands that beat you in this spot. But at the end of the day, a lot of times you're in this kind of situation and you kind of go, okay, maybe they have the ace king, maybe they have the ace queen, the overcards in the spot, and he puts in the call.
Oh no! Bones is gonna be able to show off. No, that's it's
painful session for Bones.
Yeah, that is.